Following extensive investigative efforts, Calgary police are now seeking the public's help to identify and locate two men believed to be responsible for a double stabbing that took place in Beltline last month. At approximately 2 a.m. on Saturday, August 23, two individuals were walking in front of a Circle K convenience store, located at 555 11th Avenue Southwest, when they were approached by two men. It is believed that the suspects and victims engaged in a brief verbal interaction before the suspects followed the victims to the side of the store, where a physical altercation occurred, resulting in two victims sustaining stab wounds. Both victims were transported to hospital in serious, but stable condition. The suspects fled the scene separately, one on foot and the other on a bicycle. It is believed that this was a random attack, and there is no indication the victims and suspects were known to each other. Officers conducted a thorough search of the downtown area and reviewed CCTV footage in an effort to identify the suspects. The first suspect is described as approximately 6 foot tall, with a medium build, a full beard and a mustache. He was wearing a red hoodie with a large Puma logo, a black baseball cap, black pants, and was carrying a backpack. The second suspect is described as approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall with a slim build and a mustache. He was wearing a gray jacket, a gray or beige baseball cap, and was also carrying a backpack. Anyone with information about the suspects' identities or whereabouts is asked to contact the Calgary Police by calling the non-emergency number at 403-266-1234. Calgary Police are asking the public for information after a teenage girl was sexually assaulted at the Shaughnessy C train station. According to a witness report, at approximately 2:20 p.m., Friday, September 12, a group of teenage girls were exiting a train at the Shaughnessy C train station when it is believed a man approached one of the girls and sexually touched her without consent. The suspect in this incident has been identified, however, police have been unable to locate the victim to obtain a report. Police are hoping to speak with anyone who may have information on this incident to help them advance the investigation. Anyone who believes they are a victim of sexual assault is encouraged to report it regardless of when it occurred, and anyone with information about this incident is asked to contact police by calling 403-266-1234 or Crime Stoppers. On September 11, as the result of an ongoing investigation, Thompson RCMP General Investigative Section, GIS, unit with assistance from the Manitoba RCMP North District Crime Reduction Enforcement Support Team, CREST, executed a search warrant at an address on Princeton Drive in Thompson, Manitoba. When officers arrived on scene, they discovered 2 females and 2 males inside the residence, and all were arrested without incident. A search of the property resulted in the seizure of 43 grams of cocaine, a loaded prohibited firearm, and a large amount of Canadian currency. Sylvester Penair, 23, and Darcy Brown, 22, both from Calgary, Alberta, Dakota Beardy, 22, from Thompson, and Madeline Dorion, 29, from Thicket Portage, have all been charged with the following: possession for the purpose of trafficking, production, cocaine, possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000, using firearm in the commission of an offense, possession of weapon for dangerous purpose, possession of prohibited weapon when knowing prohibited, possession of restricted firearm. All 4 arrested are currently in custody. Thompson RCMP GIS continues to investigate. In September of 2025, Cochrane RCMP Crime Reduction Unit launched an investigation into suspected drug trafficking activities within the town of Cochrane. On September 10, Cochrane RCMP executed a search warrant at a residence in the Heritage neighborhood Alberta of Cochrane. During the search, police seized a quantity of cocaine packaged for distribution, along with 2 firearms including a prohibited pink .22 caliber rifle. As a result, Christy Rinnis, age 42, a resident of Cochrane, has been charged with the following offenses: possession of a controlled substance for the purpose of trafficking, unsafe storage of a firearm, unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of a prohibited firearm. Rinnis was held for a judicial interim hearing and subsequently released by the courts to appear in the Alberta Court of Justice in Cochrane on September 23. Edmonton Police Service, EPS, investigators have charged a 42-year-old man, Devinder Singh, in connection to a targeted extortion investigation involving threats made to a local business owner and their family. On August 27, the business owner contacted police after receiving threatening messages via WhatsApp from an unknown number. The messages demonstrated detailed knowledge of the victim's business and home address and included demands for a sum exceeding $100,000. The sender claimed the victim was under surveillance and threatened to harm him and his family if the money was not paid. Following a thorough investigation, officers arrested Singh on September 5. During the arrest, 2 mobile phones were seized. Investigators believe Singh used both devices to impersonate himself and a relative while communicating with the victim. Singh has been formally charged with extortion. On Tuesday, September 9, Dawson Creek RCMP received a report of a possible sexual assault. It was reported that 3 youths were drugged, sexually assaulted and dropped off in a field in the Dawson Creek, British Columbia area. After conducting a thorough investigation, it has been determined that the reported offense is untrue and did not happen. There is no danger to the public. It is unclear if RCMP will be laying a mischief charge. Nipawin RCMP received a report of a break-and-enter on September 11. At approximately 4:30 a.m., officers immediately responded to a business on the 300th block of 1st Avenue West in Nipawin, Saskatchewan, and located an adult female inside the business who was arrested by police. 2 additional break-and-enters on the 1000th block of 8th Street West were also reported to Nipawin RCMP on September 11. All 3 businesses reported theft of an undetermined amount of cash, and investigation determined a single suspect was responsible. Responding officers arrived within minutes of the call, which was helpful in making a timely arrest in this case, says Nipawin Detachment Commander Staff Sergeant Kyle Wyanzek. As a result of investigation, 20-year-old Dania, head of Red Earth Cree Nation, is charged with 3 counts, break and enter to a business and commit an indictable offense, Section 348, 1b, Criminal Code. 3 counts, theft under $5,000, Section 334b, Criminal Code. 3 counts, mischief damage to property less than $5,000, Section 434, Criminal Code. Dania Head is being held in custody for appearance via CCTV at Melfort Provincial Court on September 15. On the afternoon of September 4, police observed a person riding an e-motorbike with distinctive markings in Terrace, British Columbia. The rider turned from the area of Canadian Tire onto Highway 16 heading westbound. The officer conducted a traffic stop with the rider and requested his license, insurance, and registration. The rider did not have any of these and fled from police on his e-motorbike. With the use of the body-worn camera, the rider was eventually identified and determined to be a youth who had not yet acquired a driver's license. The officer located the youth, confirming the identity as well as issuing the following violation tickets. No insurance, $598. No driver's license, $276. Failed to stop for police, $144. The youth's parent was made aware and was supportive of police actions. Police would like to remind riders that various modes of electric transportation, such as e-scooters, e-bikes, e-motorbikes, all have various regulations that apply to them. Parents and guardians should be researching the rules that apply to the items that their children are using to determine if they are being used lawfully. Another example is the electric kick scooter, which may only be driven in communities in BC which are participating in a pilot project, and they are subject to the rules set by the municipality. In those communities, the riders do not require a license or insurance, however they must be at least 16 years old. Terrace is not one of these participating communities. There are numerous different fines that may be issued for e-scooter offenses, one of which can be issued to a parent or guardian for allowing a person under 16 years of age to operate an electric kick scooter, $109. A day-long manhunt for a Fort St. John man with warrants resulted in additional charges after an early afternoon arrest near Peace Island Park in Taylor, British Columbia. On September 11, at approximately 9:55 a.m. the Fort St. John Street Enforcement Team, SET, Peasleyard Police Dog Services, PDS, the North District Emergency Response Team, ERT, and Fort St. John RCMP frontline members, executed a Feeney warrant at a residence in Fort St. John with the assistance of a tactical armored vehicle. The warrant granted entry to the residence in search of 39-year-old Jonathan Michael Peters, who was wanted on warrants for uttering threats, mischief over $5,000, refusal to provide a sample, obstructing a peace officer and breach of release order. Peters was not located at the residence and additional information suggested he may be in Taylor, BC. Shortly before noon, ERT members attempted a traffic stop with a side-by-side in Taylor which Peters was believed to be driving. The side-by-side fled into the Peace Island Park area and was monitored by a tracking team, drones and air services until it became inoperable on an island of the Pine River. At approximately 2 p.m., Peters was taken into custody by PDS and ERT members. Peters was held for court and now faces additional charges for flight from a peace officer, dangerous operation of a conveyance and obstructing a peace officer. Mission RCMP are on the lookout for the ice cream caper. The same man attended a grocery store in Mission approximately 3 times in 1 week, each time walking out with a large quantity of ice cream and nothing else. Most recently, he stole around $60 worth of ice cream on August 20th, and is estimated to have taken a total of about $300 worth of the creamy dessert over the course of all 3 offenses. Officers are now on the lookout for a Caucasian male in his 30s, with short dark hair, who often carries a black backpack, and is likely not lactose intolerant. Anyone with information can call Mission RCMP at 604-826-7161 and quote file 2510197. A man is facing drug-related charges following an investigation by the Saskatoon Police Crime Reduction Team, CRT. On September 4, CRT investigators, with assistance from the Tactical Support Unit, crisis negotiators, and alternative response officers, arrested a male from a residence in the 400th block of Avenue S South. As a result of this investigation, police seized 1 sawed-off pump-action 12-gauge shotgun, 1 sawed-off 12-gauge semi-auto shotgun, 1 12-gauge slam gun, 1 airsoft assault-style pistol with 9mm ammunition in a prohibited magazine, $395 cash, 18.38 special ammunition, 11 12-gauge shotgun rounds, 16 9mm ammunition, for 8 mg hydromorphone tablets. The 40-year-old male is facing numerous charges, including 9 firearms and weapons offenses and obstruction. He was also arrested on outstanding warrants.
You're watching Canada Police Report, Western Canada's Police News Authority.
On September 11th, at approximately 12 a.m., Swan River RCMP initiated a traffic stop with 2 occupants while on patrol on Main Street in Swan River, Manitoba. While officers were speaking with the female driver, open liquor was observed in plain view inside the vehicle and both the driver and female passenger were arrested. A subsequent search of the vehicle resulted in the discovery of methamphetamines, other illicit drugs along with drug paraphernalia. A large sum of Canadian cash was also seized. The 29-year-old driver and 28-year-old female passenger, both from Swan River, were charged with the following: possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000. Possession for the purpose of trafficking times 4. Both were released with a pending court date along with mandatory conditions. Swan River RCMP continued to investigate. Shortly after 10 p.m. on September 9, Saskatoon police were called to the 100th block of Spadina Crescent East for a report of an injured person. Upon arrival, officers located the female victim suffering from the effects of bear spray. Further investigation found that the victim had been using a washroom in the area when she was approached by two unknown women and a brief confrontation occurred between the three of them. The women then left the washroom and an unknown man entered, sprayed her with bear spray, and hit her in the head before all three suspects fled the area. On September 3, at approximately 3:45 a.m., Portage La Prairie RCMP received a dispatch for an assault that had taken place on 11th Street Northwest in Portage La Prairie, Manitoba. Officers responded and were met at the door by an injured adult female. The victim advised officers that a male known to her had broken into the residence, assaulted her, and fled the scene. There were also children in the residence at the time of the assault. EMS transported the victim to hospital for further treatment. RCMP have issued a warrant of arrest for 39-year-old Burton Cody Campbell from Ebb and Flow First Nation. Campbell is facing the following charges: breaking and entering with intent, assault while choking, suffocating, or strangling, failed to comply with release order condition ×4. Police are continuing their search for Campbell, and if anyone has any information they are asked to call 911, or the Portage La Prairie RCMP detachment at 204-857-4445, or Crime Stoppers anonymously. Calgary police have charged one man after it is believed he unlawfully gained access to a residence above his, in the southwest community of Coach Hill last week. On Friday, September 5, police responded to reports of a break-and-enter in the 6400 block of Coach Hill Road Southwest. The victim reported that she was experiencing ongoing issues with a downstairs neighbor, which had intensified in recent weeks. Upon returning to her residence after being away, she discovered significant disturbances inside the home, including a large hole in the floor, despite her door being locked. Investigators believe the occupant living directly below the unit, the same neighbor the victim had been experiencing issues with, had tunneled a large hole from his suite into hers through an open space behind a fireplace. Over the weekend, investigators gathered evidence and sought a judicial authorization, and on Monday, September 8, police executed a search warrant on a residence and took one man into custody in relation to the break-and-enter. Ben Edward Mays, 46, of Calgary, has been charged with one count of break-and-enter with intent to commit criminal harassment, mischief to property over $5,000 and 2 counts of disobeying a court order. The Edmonton Police Service, EPS, has charged a former Uber driver with sexual assault. At approximately 1:56 a.m. on June 30, an adult female was picked up by a dark gray 2023 Nissan Rogue, through the rideshare platform Uber, in the area of 109th Street and 101 Avenue. During the trip, the male driver stopped his vehicle and sexually assaulted the female passenger. On August 30, Gurvinder Panu, 32, was arrested and charged with sexual assault. He was released and given conditions including not to maintain any employment with any ride-sharing or taxi service, to not have direct or indirect contact with the female complainant, and to not possess weapons including knives and firearms. Due to the nature of the sexual assault, investigators believe there may be additional complainants and are asking anyone who may have experienced a similar incident to come forward. Anyone who believes they may have been victimized by Panu is asked to contact the Edmonton Police Service at 780-423-4567 or #377 from a mobile phone. Anonymous information can also be submitted to Crime Stoppers. Lethbridge police arrested a 34-year-old male and charges are pending in connection with an incident where an 80-year-old man was assaulted and sustained life-threatening injuries. On September 10 around noon, police and EMS responded to a report of an injured elderly male along the 1200 block of 2A Avenue North. Investigation determined the senior's bike had been stolen from outside a business, and when he confronted the male subject, a physical altercation ensued. The subject punched the elderly male, causing him to fall backward and strike his head on the pavement. The subject fled the scene prior to police arrival. EMS transported the 80-year-old victim to Chinook Regional Hospital, and due to the extent of his injuries he was subsequently airlifted to Foothills Hospital in Calgary, where he remains in critical condition. Witnesses provided police with images of the subject and he was identified by officers. Extensive police resources were deployed as part of the investigation, and at approximately 8 p.m. the subject called dispatch to turn himself in. He was arrested a short time later at a Northside home without incident. Lethbridge police have charged a 26-year-old female in connection with an incident Wednesday that resulted in the deployment of the tactical team. On September 10, police responded to a report that a female armed with a knife was attempting to gain entry to a unit in a residence along the 100 block of Mount Sundial Court and had broken the glass in a door. The female, who was an occupant of the other unit, then barricaded herself inside her home and did not respond to police demands to exit. Neighbors were directed to shelter in place and the tactical team was deployed as a precaution. After several hours, the woman surrendered to police and was taken into custody without incident. Katie Jane Scory, 26, of Lethbridge is charged with attempted housebreaking, possession of an offensive weapon dangerous to the public and resisting a peace officer. She has been released from police custody and is scheduled to appear in court October 21. Lethbridge police have charged a 26-year-old Calgary man in connection with an incident where a 12-year-old girl was lured online and sexually assaulted. On April 23, 2025, police responded to a report of a missing 12-year-old girl. Following further investigation, it was determined the child had been picked up a day earlier near her Lethbridge home by a male who previously befriended her online. The male transported the child to a residence he rented for one night and sexually assaulted her multiple times before leaving the city. The rental property was located by police and a search resulted in the seizure of physical evidence. Police further obtained video surveillance images of the male while he was in Lethbridge and the online communications he had with the victim, which included sexually explicit images. On September 10, with assistance from the Calgary Police Service, the male was arrested at his residence in Calgary. A search warrant was subsequently executed at the home and additional evidence seized. Janger Ali Samir, 26, of Calgary, is charged with sexual assault, invitation to sexual touching, sexual interference, possession of child pornography and 2 counts of child luring. Following a judicial interim release hearing, Samir was remanded in custody and is scheduled to appear in the Lethbridge Court of Justice. Police have evidence to believe this was not an isolated incident and there may be additional, unidentified victims. As part of the ongoing investigation, police are releasing a photo of Samir, who may be known as Sam online. Anyone who has been victimized, or has information that could assist investigators, is asked to call police at 403-328-4444 and reference file 2500-6945. On August 27, Richmond RCMP responded to a report of a motorcycle doing wheelies on Highway 99 northbound approaching the tunnel. This motorcycle was subsequently stopped, and the driver was charged with multiple Motor Vehicle Act infractions including drive without due care, noise, and vehicle defects. This motorcycle was also impounded for 7 days due to stunting and was issued a Box 1 notice and order. Under the Motor Vehicle Act in BC, stunting refers to operating a vehicle in a way that shows a lack of reasonable care for other road users, including actions like lifting tires off the road, loss of traction, spinning, dangerous lane use, and aggressive speeding. We want to thank the public for calling this in, says Corporal Niels Hermes, Road Safety Unit of the Richmond RCMP. This type of driving behavior creates a great danger on the roadway. Working together, we can make the roadways in Richmond safer for all road users.
You're watching Canada Police Report, Western Canada's Police News Authority.
Parkland RCMP are seeking the public's assistance in identifying a male who approached a 12-year-old girl and attempted to lure her into his vehicle. The incident took place on Highway 779 near 48th Street in Stony Plain, Alberta on September 8, at approximately 3:45 p.m. The victim reports that while riding her scooter home, a white SUV with gold rims and slim profile headlights pulled over beside her. The male suspect told the girl that her mother sent him to pick her up and tried to get her to enter his vehicle. An adult in another vehicle stopped behind the suspect and asked the 12-year-old girl if she was okay. The white SUV suspect vehicle sped away. Police are looking to speak with the unknown male as part of the investigation. The male is described as 40 to 50 years old. Fair complexion. Grayish-black beard a couple inches long. Wearing sunglasses with blue lenses. Police would also like to speak with the adult witness and any other witnesses who may have information regarding this investigation. Police are also asking for anyone who may have dashcam video in the area of 48th Street and Highway 779 on September 8 between 3:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. to report to police as they may have captured the incident or the suspect vehicle. Parkland RCMP are asking the public's assistance for any information in relation to this incident, or identifying those responsible. Please contact the Parkland RCMP at 825-220-7267. If you want to remain anonymous, you can contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Your Alberta RCMP's Community Response Team and Bonnyville RCMP located and arrested a male on outstanding warrants because of a one-day drug trafficking investigation. On September 5, the Alberta Community Response Team located a male believed to be trafficking drugs in Bonnyville, Alberta. As a result of the drug investigation, police conducted a traffic stop on a Ford Escape on 45th Street and 43rd Avenue, Bonnyville. As a result of the traffic stop, Jaden John and Letitia Dumont were arrested. Police seized 7 grams of methamphetamine and $110 Canadian currency. Jaden John was found to be on Canada-wide warrants for a parole violation and in breach of his parole conditions. Letitia Dumont was found to be in breach of a release order. Jaden John, a 30-year-old male resident of Bonnyville, was charged with trafficking in a controlled substance, possession of property obtained by crime, and being at large without lawful excuse. Letitia Dumont, a 31-year-old female resident of Bonnyville, was charged with breach of release order. Jaden John was held for a bail hearing and remanded into custody and is to appear in the Alberta Court of Justice in Cold Lake on September 10. Letitia Dumont was held for a bail hearing and released on a release order and is to appear in the Alberta Court of Justice in Bonnyville on September 16. Calgary police are asking for the public's help to identify a man who may have information regarding an assault that occurred last month. On Monday, August 18, at approximately 2:50 p.m., a woman was walking her dog near a residence located in the 900th block of 8th Avenue Southeast, when she was approached and assaulted by an unknown suspect. Police are sharing images of the man they are looking to speak with regarding the assault. Anyone with information about the identity of the person of interest in this assault investigation is asked to call the CPS non-emergency number, 403-266-1234. Tips can also be reported anonymously through Crime Stoppers. On Friday, September 5, a day already busy with full-scale building fires and motor vehicle incidents involving ambulances, police officers in Prince George also came across a man driving a toy car down 15th Avenue near Nicholson Street in Prince George, British Columbia. This was during the morning commute, around 9 a.m., and the streets were very busy at the time. Our police officer conducted a traffic stop with the vehicle to assess what was happening, states Corporal Jennifer Cooper, Media Relations Officer for the Prince George RCMP. Any vehicle on a roadway that is powered by anything other than muscular power fits into the definition of a motor vehicle and requires a licensed driver and insurance. While it might seem to some to be an inefficient use of police time to pull over a driver in a toy car, the risk the driver was creating to other motorists on the road who were forced to go around him, coupled with the risk to himself as other drivers are not in the habit of looking for toy cars on the busy road, was enough to warrant police attention. During the investigation, the police officer formed grounds to believe the driver was impaired and found the driver had a suspended license. The driver was arrested for prohibited driving, and an impaired driving investigation ensued. He provided 2 breath samples that were both over the legal limit and was subsequently issued a 90-day driving prohibition. The driver was served with an appearance notice with a court date in December. This file remains under investigation. On the evening of September 9, Langley RCMP officers stopped and impounded 2 motorcycles involved in separate incidents of excessive speeding. At approximately 6:15 p.m., an officer conducting proactive speed enforcement near 216th Street and 58th Avenue in Langley, British Columbia, observed a white street bike traveling northbound at a radar-confirmed speed of 124 km per hour in a 60 km per hour zone. The motorcycle's rear license plate had been bent upward and was illegible until the officer physically adjusted it. The rider was issued violation tickets for excessive speed and an illegible license plate. The motorcycle was impounded for 7 days under the Motor Vehicle Act. At approximately 7:54 p.m., the same officer observed a black street bike traveling northbound on 200th Street near 88th Avenue at an estimated speed of 130 km per hour, weaving unsafely between vehicles. Radar confirmed a speed of 143 km per hour. The rider was issued violation tickets for excessive speed and unsafe lane changes. Their motorcycle was also impounded for 7 days. A 44-year-old Abbotsford man is facing fines, a license suspension, and the loss of his job after allegedly rolling a dump truck into a ditch while impaired. BC Highway Patrol was called on September 4 at 2:30 p.m. after witnesses reported a single-vehicle dump truck collision on Lowhead Highway near Desroches, BC. When police arrived, the dump truck driver was given a breath demand and the reading on the approved screening device was fail. The dump truck driver was not seriously injured in the collision, but he was issued the following: a 90-day immediate roadside prohibition from driving, the seizure of his BC driver's license, a ticket for drive without due care and attention, Section 144(1)(a) of the BC Motor Vehicle Act, MVA, with a fine of $368, a ticket for open liquor in a motor vehicle, Section 76(2) of the Liquor Control and Licensing Act with a fine of $230. A 30-day impound of the dump truck, owned by the driver's employer. While police were investigating at the crash scene, the dump truck driver's supervisor arrived and terminated the driver's employment on the spot. The majority of professional truck drivers never deal with BC Highway Patrol. They're too busy working safely and following the rules, says Corporal Michael McLaughlin with BC Highway Patrol. But with any big rig, the stakes are too high to be unsafe. We have no tolerance for drivers who are impaired. Central Region, Ontario, RCMP Cybercrime Investigative Team played a pivotal role in an international investigation that led to the sentencing of Canadian citizen, Cameron Albert Redman, who was convicted in the United States for his involvement in a sophisticated cybercrime scheme targeting Twitter's partner support portal. In May 2022, Redman, age 22, of Mississauga, Ontario, unlawfully obtained access to a Twitter X account management tool. Redman made the support tool available for purchase via an online forum. This access contributed to conspirators illegally gaining control over highly valuable digital assets called non-fungible tokens, at a significant loss to the lawful owners of the stolen assets. Redman and his co-conspirators defrauded over 200 victims and profited approximately $794,000. Almost all of the victims were from the United States. The FBI and RCMP worked collaboratively, by sharing information that helped advance their respective investigations. Redman departed Canada and was later arrested by the Portuguese authorities in Portugal. He was extradited to the United States and, on July 29, 2025, sentenced for conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit aggravated identity theft. In addition to a prison sentence to be served in the United States, he agreed to pay restitution to victims. Due to the successful prosecution of Mr. Redman in the United States, the Canadian law enforcement investigation has been concluded.
You're watching Canada Police Report, Western Canada's Police News Authority.
Lethbridge police have seized a total of 20 animals in distress over the past week, as part of 3 separate, unrelated cruelty investigations. In all cases, the animals were seized under the Alberta Animal Protection Act and are currently in the care of Community Animal Services. On September 2, Community Animal Services requested police assistance in relation to a report of a dog observed in distress at home along the 500 block of 18th Street South. The dog, which was found to be extremely emaciated, did not have access to food or water and had sores and an open gash on its body, was subsequently seized and transported to a local veterinarian for treatment. Following further investigation, the owners of the dog were criminally charged. John Joseph Rosenberg, 39, and Aisha Leslie Fleming, 45, of Lethbridge, are charged with causing unnecessary suffering to an animal. Both were released with conditions not to possess or care for any domestic animal and are scheduled to appear in court October 28. On September 4, Community Animal Services requested police assistance after multiple animals were found in distress during a property inspection along the 600 block of 9th Street South. In total, police seized 4 puppies, 3 adult dogs and 4 cats, along with a lizard, mouse, and fish. The animals were not being properly cared for and conditions inside the residence made it unfit for habitation, resulting in a closure order that required 2 tenants, a 23-year-old female and 22-year-old male, to vacate the property. The investigation is ongoing. On September 8, police responded to a report of an unattended vehicle in the alley along Leaside Avenue with numerous cats inside. Additional cats were also observed around the property. 5 cats were seized from the vehicle. The 55-year-old owner of the vehicle was identified and issued 5 bylaw tickets for failing to provide basic animal care. The bylaw violations carry a specified penalty of $300 per ticket. The identity of the male is not a matter of public record and cannot be released. Calgary police have charged a man and have seized drugs, drug paraphernalia, and cash following a 6-month drug trafficking investigation. In February 2025, an officer with the District 1 patrol team, with assistance from the Alberta Sheriffs, launched an investigation into a man believed to be involved in drug trafficking, following a traffic stop on Monday, January 27, 2025. As the investigation progressed, a search warrant was executed on Tuesday, August 19, 2025, at a residence associated with the suspect in the 400 block of 11 Avenue Southeast. The search resulted in the seizure of 47.8 grams of cocaine, 4.5 grams of methamphetamine, 47 capsules of suspected cocaine, $40,525 in Canadian currency, $190 in U.S. currency, a digital weigh scale, 5 cell phones, drug paraphernalia, packaging material, and identity documents. As a result, Mauricio Romero, 30, has been charged with 2 counts of possession for the purpose of trafficking, 1 count of possession of proceeds of crime over $5,000, Canadian currency, 1 count of possession of proceeds of crime under $5,000, U.S. currency, and 2 counts of failure to comply with a release order. On September 8, at 11:26 p.m., Winnipeg East District General Patrol officers arrested 23-year-old Draven Miles Wesley near the intersection of Henderson Highway and Trent Avenue after receiving a report he had robbed a convenience store at knife point in the 300 block of Henderson Highway. Arresting officers turned custody of Wesley to the Major Crimes Unit, who continued the investigation and linked him to 21 other shoplifting and robbery incidents involving several city convenience stores. On July 22, 2025 at 8:30 a.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 500th block of Sargent Avenue, stole merchandise, and threatened a security guard with scissors. On July 23, 2025 at 5 p.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 500th block of Sargent Avenue and fled with stolen merchandise. On August 13, 2025 at 9 a.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 800th block of Arlington Street and stole merchandise while armed with a knife and a crowbar. On August 14, 2025 at 7:50 p.m., a man attended a convenience in the 200th block of Portage Avenue, stole merchandise, and threatened a security guard with a knife. On August 21, 2025 at 10:55 a.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 200th block of Portage Avenue, stole merchandise, and threatened a security guard with a sharp-edged weapon. On August 31, 2025 at 10:55 p.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 500th block of Sargent Avenue, attempted to steal product, and threatened to stab an intervening security guard with a knife and a hypodermic needle. On September 6, 2025 at 7:50 p.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 1800th block of Henderson Highway, stole a pair of scissors, threatened employees with the scissors, and stole additional merchandise from behind the sales counter. On September 8, 2025 at 9:37 p.m., a man attended a convenience store in the 300th block of Henderson Highway, stole merchandise, and threatened employees with a knife. He was located by attending officers and arrested without incident. A knife he was holding at the time of his arrest was seized as evidence. Through their investigation, the Major Crimes Unit linked Wesley to all the mentioned incidents. Wesley has been charged with the following: robbery times 7. Possession of a weapon times 9. Uttering threats. Theft under $5,000. And failed to comply with probation order times 4. Wesley was detained in custody awaiting further disposition. A suspected impaired driver is being investigated for a fatal collision that killed 2 women near Kamloops, British Columbia on Friday, September 5, 2025, but more witnesses and video are still required to make sure the investigation is complete. The victims were in a white Hyundai Kona that was driving on the Coquihalla just before 9 p.m. when it collided with a gray Dodge Ram pickup going south in the northbound lanes. The women who died, who were 36 and 27 years old respectively, had international next of kin who are still being informed about the tragedy. 3 other people have serious injuries, including 2 who were in the white Hyundai Kona and the suspected driver of the gray Dodge Ram pickup. We have made progress in this investigation, but we are still looking for more witnesses and dash camera video, says Corporal Michael McLaughlin with BC Highway Patrol. If you saw the driver of a gray Dodge Ram pickup doing anything suspicious in the minutes or hours leading up to the fatal crash, please call us. Anyone who has video or witnessed the collision, or the driving of the white Hyundai Kona hatchback or the gray Dodge Ram pickup, or saw the driver of the pickup behaving suspiciously, call BC Highway Patrol Kamloops at 250-828-3111 and quote file 2025-3075. The North District Major Crime Unit and the Northern Rockies RCMP are asking for the public's assistance in finding Karen Tessier, who was last seen in Fort Nelson, British Columbia on July 9, 2024. Karen Tessier's family is urging anyone who may have information about her disappearance to please call the RCMP. The North District Major Crime Unit is seeking information from the public and has set up a dedicated tip line for this investigation. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Karen Tessier are urged to call the RCMP tip line at 250-561-8888.
I am Elizabeth Burke, Karen Tessier's mom. A year has come and gone since Karen went missing. She was last seen on July 9, 2024, with some friends. I didn't know the last time I would hear her voice was that day.
It's okay, Mom.
When she said, "I'm good, Ma."
We need you to be strong, Mom.
Karen's vehicle was later found burned at a remote gravel pit. Karen was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a grandma, an aunt, and a wife, and a good friend to so many. And I know someone knows what happened to her and where she is. Please do the right thing and talk. Please help us find Karen. We miss her so much. If you know anything, any piece of information, no matter how small, don't be afraid to speak out. Please report it and help us bring our daughter home. Ralph, myself, and many friends and relatives who love Karen needs closure. We know the weight of keeping what happened silence is heavy, and those who are holding the truth need to let it out. Please help us the chance to bring, or I'm sorry, please give us the chance to bring Karen home so we can give her a proper burial and to say goodbye. I know any family would want the same. From a mother, from a family that is struggling with their grief beyond what words can express. Please hear our cries and help us find Karen. Please. I'm begging you, if you know anything, please. Talk to someone. Let it out and just let us bring Karen back to us so we can bury her. Thank you.
A London, Ontario man is facing charges following an investigation by members of the London Police Service Sexual Assault and Child Abuse Section. In August 2025, London Police Service was notified that a teacher at Bonaventure Meadows Public School had sexually assaulted a student between January and June of this year. Investigators learned that the teacher began emailing a school-aged girl in January of 2025, and that in April 2025, the man brought her to his residence where he sexually assaulted her. Additionally, they learned that in June 2025 the man touched her inappropriately while at school. As a result of the investigation, Jamie Kane, 43, of London, has been charged with the following offences: image of the accused, sexual assault, sexual interference with a person under the age of 16, and luring a person under 16 years of age by means of telecommunication. The accused appeared in London court on August 29, 2025, and was released from custody. He is scheduled to reappear in London court on September 22, 2025, in relation to the charges. Investigators believe that there may be additional victims and are appealing to members of the public to contact them if they have any information in relation to this investigation, or if they know of similar incidents involving the accused. 3 people were arrested following an investigation by the Saskatoon Police Service Guns and Gangs Unit. At around 10:30 p.m. on September 6, 2025, members of the Guns and Gangs Unit, with the assistance of the Tactical Support and Alternative Response Units, executed a search warrant at a residence in the 200th block of Avenue V South, leading to the following evidentiary seizures: 7.89 grams of crack cocaine, 5.16 grams of cocaine, 24.12 grams of methamphetamine, and 6,522 Canadian dollars and 60 cents. As a result of the investigation, a 34-year-old man has been charged with trafficking a controlled substance, ×2, possession of a controlled substance for the purpose of trafficking, ×2, possession of the proceeds of crime over $5,000, and breach of a release order. 2 women were also arrested from the residence on several outside agency criminal warrants, including assaulting and resisting a police officer and impaired operation of a motor vehicle. Even after BC Highway Patrol's repeated warnings about enhanced enforcement on Highway No. 99, more than 60 vehicles were impounded for speed and impairment in the last week of August 2025. 31 of those impounds happened over Labor Day weekend. There are still too many people driving unimaginably fast or impaired on the Sea to Sky, says Corporal Michael McLaughlin with BC Highway Patrol. And while it's hard to believe, we keep catching people doing both at the same time. On August 27, a BC Highway Patrol motorcycle clocked a blue pickup going 132 km per hour in an 80 zone near Porto Cove. The driver, a 29-year-old Vancouver man, was given a breath demand for alcohol impairment and blew 2 warrants, resulting in a 3-day driving suspension, an excessive speeding ticket under Section 148(1) of the BC Motor Vehicle Act, MVA, for a fine of $368, a 7-day vehicle impound at his expense, at least 3 years of high-risk driving premiums that will push the total cost of fines and fees to almost $2,500. On August 31, a black Harley-Davidson was clocked going 110 km per hour in a 60 zone at Lions Bay. The rider, a 61-year-old North Vancouver man, was given a breath demand that led to 2 fail readings. He received a 90-day immediate roadside prohibition, thus losing his driver's license, a 30-day impound for the motorcycle, a ticket for excessive speeding under Section 148(1) of the BC MVA, $368, a ticket for unnecessary noise for his aftermarket muffler, Section 7A.01 of the BC Motor Vehicle Act Regulations, $109. At least 3 years of high-risk driving premiums that will push the total cost of fines and fees to over $2,500. Traffic patterns and volumes are shifting with back to school, and weather and darkness are bigger factors every day, says Corporal McLaughlin. We're encouraging you to slow down and plan for more time on the road. It shouldn't need to be said, but you also need to stay sober.
You're watching Canada Police Report, Western Canada's Police News Authority.